But yeah, you may be wondering what PAX was like. Especially if you are one Kalen_Stereo who was at FWA all weekend. But mine is... I too have merch from the comment. Mine is furrier. There actually was a panel called Is It Furry that unfortunately I wasn't able to make it to, but I had a really good reason for not being able to make it, which will be covered in... Acid Goes to PAX East 2025! Check it out, I'm not using a template this time. Aren't you proud of me? Did I tell you I got hit on at FWA because my eyeshadow game was too strong? Incredible. Incredible. I'm happy for you. Hold on, this transition's kind of a long one. I think it's done. Part 0. Setting the atmosphere. This ain't my first rodeo. Alright, the first one doesn't go automatically. I still gotta click. My history with PAX, specifically East. I went to the first PAX East in 2010 at the Heinz Convention Center while going to college in Massachusetts. Shout out to... I'm not going to actually say what my college was. I went to the con several... my partner at the time gifted the pass to me. They managed to get a hold of a 3-day pass for PAX East back in 2010. And was just like, hey, do you want it? I'm just like, fuck yeah. Gage, I think we went to the same PAX. No shit! That's cool. I went to the con several more times, even after moving out of Massachusetts. Most notably, met up in real life with my lovely wife, Natalie, for the first time when she went with me to PAX East in 2015, which was a bit of a scramble. I'm not going to bother you with the details, but we made it work, and now we have been together for 10 years. My mnemonic device for remembering how long we've been together was that our first movie date was Fant 4 Stick, which came out in 2015. Isn't that fun? Quick aside note though, PAX West 2016 is when I proposed to Natalie. Here is a picture of me at PAX East 2015 as seen in the video Best Friends vs. PAX East 2015. You can find that on YouTube. It's a good clip. I was really excited to be a part of that. Anyways. Part 1. Departure. Our long journey begins. Bro. Fucking look at that. So as a reminder, we did drive up to Boston from Texas. It was a long drive. Shark Facts, you know Texas is fucking huge. Thankfully, we didn't have to drive across Texas. We just had to... You think so? I thought Alabama, like, on our way back was, like, just went on for fucking ever. But Pennsylvania was pretty long, actually. Our quest... Yeah. Oh god, the construction. Our quest was long and arduous. 13 hours to Alabama, resting for the night, then another 20 hours up to Boston, switching drivers every so often. Everything seems so small when face to face with the immensity of nature. Not insignificant, but approachable, solvable. It's life-affirming. But enough about that. Part 2. Initiation. We about to go East mode. I worked really hard to put all of this together today, so you all need to appreciate this. Thursday. First day of the con. My first panel on Thursday was Your Right Hand Comes Off, Video Games and Camp. Very interesting discussion about both the history of camp and artifice and how it applies to video games. All about, it's the same sort of thing that I've said about, like, the story cannot take is allowed to not take itself seriously, but the characters have to. So, like, you can have, like, one of the big games that they talked about was Bayonetta. you've got Bayonetta, like, prancing around, doing all these, like, crazy sexy moves, and it's, you know, she's hamming it up, but within the world, everyone treats it dead serious, everything that's happening. We see Camp primarily as this presentation stated through the lenses of drag, Catholicism, and the military. They use a few different examples for this, with focuses on each of those. Bayonetta was the sort of camp via drag, where she kind of represents this sort of like heightened femininity that like drag queens will go for. Dante's Inferno was camp through the lens of Catholicism, with like, you know, you fucking blast demons with the true cross. You collect 30 pieces of silver over the course of the game. There are references to the works of Hieronymus Bosch, who drew some wacky shit, but was entirely serious when he did so. Regardless of what it seems at glance. I must sow the cross into my flesh to show my devotion to God. The saints around me in a circle, nodding seriously. Oh god, I love Dante's Inferno so fucking much. I can't tell you how excited I was when they showed the list of games that they were going to be talking about for this, where, like, Bayonetta, Dante's Inferno, and Resident Evil 4... Like, I knew Resident Evil 4 just because of the quote that was used in the title of the panel. But, like, seeing at a minimum 3 games that I know, like, front to back, was so good, because it's just like, I can engage with this properly. They also talked about Command & Conquer Red Alert 2, which is hilarious, but is also camped through the lens of the military. I don't know if you know this, the military, kind of fucking weird, honestly. When you really kind of get down to brass tacks and think about it, the military is kind of fucking weird. And sometimes games like to play with that. And then Resident Evil 4 kind of brings it all together. They talk about how, like, Leon S. Kennedy is kind of a subversion of, like, the sassy gay best friend trope, sort of, while also kind of playing it straight. It was a very interesting talk. The next thing, I should probably... Hold on, I'm gonna turn off... I don't want to capture my cursor. Thank you. Hello? Ah, here we go. The next panel I checked out was the Furious 7 out of 10. Best games don't have to be AAA. This is an example of the sort of game that they showed. This kind of made me want this Carmen Sandiego game. I might need to, like, get friend of the stream Audrey on for this one, considering that they, you know, worked on the show. You know, affirmed my enjoyment of mid yet interesting experiences in gaming. No one brought up Deadly Premonition, which is in my mind a clear oversight. I got to go up to the mic, give my own personal 7 out of 10, which is hold on, I gotta move my fucking huge ass ponytail out of the way. Dead Space 3. I won a Dungeons and Dragons coloring book. They had like a raffle. Where just like anybody who went up to give like their personal 7 out of 10 was in a raffle for a whole slew of prizes. A lot of the cooler prizes came after I won, which you know, and I do like the Dungeons and Dragons coloring book though. It's neat. It's free shit, you know? It's free. It's free. The next one was Folding Ideas presents Call of Duty Ghosts, Power Paranoia, and Orbital Tungsten Mods. There's Dan Olsen. I got to talk to him. It was pretty cool. He's a nice guy. Crystal was there too. I'm gonna have a little bit of a thing to talk about with regards to that, but I think me and Natalie got to I feel give her a little bright spot in the day. Not that I think she was having a bad time, but you know, it was. I felt good after doing it. This was one of the big ones I wanted to see. I'm a huge fan of folding ideas. Lots of discussion on the technical state of the game, the way it's set pieces strung together, the way it's just set pieces strung together by a non-linear narrative that doesn't make any fucking sense. There was the big push for Call of Duty Dog that you get for like 3 whole levels. If you don't remember Call of Duty Dog, that was another Best Friends thing during their Machinima days. Racism, weird psychosexual machismo vis-a-vis orbital tungsten rods that also dovetails into racism. Why does a Black Ops team of 15 dudes have special funerary rites when none of them have actually died until the events of the story? Like, were they in fact sitting around their bunk just being like, yo, dude, what if one of us dies? Dude, we gotta have the coolest fucking funerals. It's gonna be so dope. You can watch it online. Am I allowed to? I can't copy paste it, unfortunately. But go type in that URL. Memorize this URL and go type it in. I got to ask Dan to compare and contrast this game with An American Tail for the PS2, which I did mistakenly refer to in my question as Fievel Goes West like 2 or 3 times, because that's my primary reference for An American Tail, considering it was the one I had on VHS growing up. Dan did not correct me, and in fact, did go on to refer to it as Fievel Goes West in his response. So, I mean, he knew what I was talking about, and I do appreciate that. This video isn't available anymore. I was just looking at it earlier today. Did you type capital I, L, T, capital W, capital G, O, or did you do 2 L's or 2 I's? Because that's a capital I after the lowercase b, followed by a lowercase l. I did 2 lowercase l's. That would do it. That would probably cause the issue. But yeah, my question is after the guy who asks about Call of Duty reducing world politics to 5 angry dudes in most of its entries. The next panel I saw that day was Yellow Paint Good, Witcher 3 Bad, our worst gaming takes. This is relevant. Quiet from Metal Gear was discussed. It still says unavailable. I'm just gonna go to the PAX page. For some reason they uploaded 2 copies of it. I don't know if maybe they took down the copy that I'm gonna make a whole highlight out of this, and I will put links to anything that is actually uploaded in the description. This one was fine. There was some crossover with the presenters from the 7 out of 10 panel. I think there were like 2 or 3 people from that panel who were also on this one. Very interesting discussions regarding like signposting, weapon durability, the pushback against objectified female characters in games, overcorrecting to an almost anti-sex stance in some cases, characterized by the panel's resident goth girl, who probably isn't a murderer, as Gunnar Wrights, which I inherently respect, but God, I wish she'd have called it literally anything else. I famously do not like the term goon in this context. They asked for other people's takes. I didn't really have one at the time. I have thought of one since then. If you've ever said, I would enjoy this game if it wasn't called a franchise, Silent Hill is one that comes up a lot, where it's just like later Silent Hill games, it's like, I would like this game, but it's not Silent Hill. And it's just, you're lying. You're not being truthful. The only reason you're even talking about it is because it's part of a franchise. If it had not been part of a franchise, you probably would not have even touched it. That is my hot take. Like, how many fucking games out there are just like straight up ripoffs of like Castlevania, Legend of Zelda, and nobody fucking talks about them? So goddamn many. But if it was a Legend of Zelda game, you'd be talking about it. Look at fucking Faces of Evil. We're still talking about Faces of Evil fucking decades after the fact, because it has like the Legend of Zelda branding on it. Anyways, that's my hot take. On Thursday, we took note of a pizza place across from town. Friday. First panel on Friday was Seeing Ourselves Before Understanding Ourselves. Trans joy in the gaming world. Listen, okay, I'm still figuring things out. Make no assumptions based on the fact that I went to this panel. If I just don't do it. They actually kind of did talk about like how they didn't like the phrase egg cracking on this panel, but also acknowledge that like they really don't have like a better alternative to describe the specific phenomenon that was that describes basically. Honestly, just sort of a nice panel to sit in on. The panel is just sort of discussing their experiences being trans in gaming. Some of them were more recently out than others. I think there was one who had only been publicly out as trans for about a year. With everything going on, it's nice to see that this sort of joy is still possible in the world. Again, it's just there. I feel like there was a lot of affirmation for me and for just kind of like things. There's a panel I forgot about. The first panel I think we actually went to on Thursday was about careers in gaming, where they acknowledge that, like, yeah, we're getting a shitload of layoffs, but given the direction that the industry seems to be going in, we may see a lot of those jobs come back. We may see like a more resurgence within the indie and AA space now that people are losing God knows how much money on failed live service games. So that was also was a little bit hopeful. But yeah, that was a nice panel. It wasn't. I don't feel like it was as kind of like directly engaging as some of the other panels. It was basically just 5 people sitting at a table discussing the topic, as opposed to like trying to teach me something like some of these other panels were. The next one that I went to was Streaming for Fun and Rarely Profit. I did not take a picture of this one, unfortunately. This was the first of 2 major streaming-focused panels that I had wanted to hit up over the course of the weekend. A lot of focus on managing expectations, making sure that you're first and foremost in it for the love of the game, which, if you tuned in for my last PowerPoint, you know I am. Don't overspend if you don't think you can commit to it. Remain consistent. Only push for partner if you know you can hit those metrics, which is why I'm not out here doing a partner push. I am comfortably affiliate right now. Nothing too radical. Pretty straightforward. Maybe not as straightforward as the next one that I saw, I think the next day, but we'll get to that. Folding Ideas presents Silk Posting and the Culture of Trolling. Wait, hold on. He had a second? He had 2 panels? Okay. Yeah, I only knew about the Call of Duty Ghosts one because that was the only one that he announced on Blue Sky when it was confirmed. The Trans Gamer panel sounds like the furry trans man, which was good shit to just listen. Yeah. Didn't Titanfall 3 get canceled? Yeah, okay. This is less of a deep dive dissection, more this shit is hilarious, how did this happen? This is basically all about how the Silksong community kind of naturally developed a culture of just internal trolling, just like constantly coming up with like fake announcements and shit like that. So this was kind of like a second layer to that, where it's not just shit posting about the fact that Silksong isn't out yet, but it's shit posting about the fact that another game that also is not coming out may or may not have gotten announced before Silksong. Skongers are on the copium spice. Yeah, exactly. This was a really funny panel. In which Dan Olson forgets to request the 13 plus label for his panel and unwittingly includes several examples he is unable to give further context for. There is a jar joke where somebody has a large Hornet figurine, and it's just like, there is not a jar big enough to contain this. My music just stopped. Hold on. Put that on a fucking loop. And then there was one that just said like plap, 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 get released, get released, get released, get released. And Dan had to sit there trying to hold back his laughter and being like, I can't explain the context of this to you. I can't explain why this one is funny. And it was honestly fantastic. It's not available online, despite being in the We're Streaming Stuff in This Theater. Hello, Xanda. Welcome. You're just in time. I'm only like on the second, going over the second day of PAX. Next panel was the Jackbox Party Packs. Not too much to say here. It's Jackbox, played by some of the prominent guests at the convention. Jerry Holkins was there, Chris Straub, Ife Nwadiwe, a couple other people whose names I don't remember. It was fun. We got some good jokes in there. There was one where it was just like, there was a phrase that was just like, all-you-can-eat crab buffet. And they had to add a phrase in order to ruin that, which was in Oklahoma. We got to see a new game that's being released in Jackbox 11. That's pretty neat. That's this game that I have right here. I don't fucking remember what the name of it was, but that's what was the in Oklahoma bit, where it's just like, you're given a phrase or an item that brings joy, and you have to ruin it. It seems really good. And its primary character is Jim Reaper. We wanted pizza, but the pizza place was closed by the time we got back to our hotel. Saturday. The busiest day of the con. Jesus Christ. Basics of VTubing. So this was the only panel that I got to on this date. They weren't kidding. Those VTubing can basics. It's a lot of stuff that honestly I was really just kind of already sort of aware of. Finding artists commissioned for models, PNG tubers are absolutely VTubers. Nothing groundbreaking. All stuff I have more or less been through already. You know, I started out with my just kind of like animated PNG tuber from the good folks over at Team Capital, Aubrey and B, two of my goodest friends. And now I'm here today with a 3D VTuber that I am pretty excited about. I did find out about a newer program for 3D VTubers that one of the panelists' spouse made. I found out that there's also like a couple other ones. There's one that's being used by a VTuber named Bunicula, who I saw on my Skyline recently talking about. There's a whole thing going on in VTubing recently. I don't want to get into it right now because if I go off on a tangent now, we're not going to get through the PowerPoint before we're through like our first hour. But remind me once we get into gameplay so that I can bring Forspoken to a dead stop instead. But they showed off the program that Bunicula uses, and it's practically coding. Like, it is so involved. It's a little intimidating. But the program that was created by one of the panelists' spouse is actually designed to be used in conjunction with VSeeFace, which is what I use. So it's something that I might look into. I did write the name down. And yeah. And then one of the panelists also did her own rigging, so she went over a bunch of like things about like rigging programs and stuff like that. I took some pictures of that part of the panel to send to friend of the stream Audrey, who I know is looking into that. Does Forspoken need help doing that? Yeah, occasionally. This was the only time during the con where we very nearly had an embarrassing Q&A moment. So if you're not familiar with this, if you haven't been to a lot of panels at cons, there is the any sort of panel that has like a Q&A segment, there's the ever-present threat of somebody going up there and just quite honestly making an ass of themselves. It's the type of people that's just like, I don't have a question, I have more of a story. Or they're trying to like be the fourth McElroy. Or they are just like completely fucking cheap viewers on streamboo.com. Goodbye? They're just completely fucking botching it. We played an entire Forspoken stream a couple weeks back without any actual goddamn gameplay. And for this one, there was the very first person who got up to that mic was just like, yo, I wanted to ask you guys, I have a collab idea. And it's just like, my guy, this is not the time or the place for this. And they didn't say that. They were very polite about that, and I really appreciate that. I should say the name of some of those people. Hold on. I took down some of their names. I want to check out some of their streams soon, ideally. Hold on. There was cat petting. There was. I did pet cats. I tried to put together a kitty petted Dark Souls thing, but it wasn't working out, unfortunately. Ooh, can we raid any today? Maybe, if any of them are streaming. I'll have to look that up once we get there. But it was, the streamers' handles were Goggle Candy, Queenie BB, X Saris, and Mink the Satyr. X Saris was the one on the panel representing the 3D VTubers. She was the one whose spouse created the program that works in conjunction with VC Face that I desperately want to check out because it looks like it lets you do a lot more like fun animation stuff. And I am so all about that. Let's go ahead and let's get back to it. The Radio TV Solutions Meetup. You have no context for why I've included this picture, but there it is. So Wayne Radio TV, and really just kind of like all of Radio TV Solutions, were at PAX East. Balp, of course, lives in the area. Balp is a Boston boy. Scorpy had a panel. We'll get to that in a bit. But like, Wayne was there, Mike, Trog, Log, I believe. Holly was there. I was excited to meet Holly. We got there a bit late. This is why I didn't go to any other panels that day. There were a couple that I wanted to check out, but I really wanted to go to this. So we got there a bit late, and by that time it had morphed into less of a meetup and just more of like a line to say hi, get autographs, which I did get. They signed my badge. Not complaining though. We got to get to know the folks in the line, which was a lot of fun. They were some cool folks. The person ahead of me in line handed Wayne a picture of I Am Mean smoking a joint. Oh, sorry, correction. It was an actual real-life joint that was taped to the picture. I have included photo evidence here with a candy cane crudely pasted over the joint just to be sure I'm being TOS compliant. This was kind of an infraction point for the meetup, with the primary difference between what came before and what came after being that Wayne had now taken a couple hits off the aforementioned I Am Mean weed. Bro was just down by the pier, lighting it up. It's just fucking amazing. Shout out to 4 Fat Sluts on Blue Sky who gave him the picture. Yes, that is their Blue Sky name. They haven't posted since like 4 months ago, but we've added each other. It was so much fun, honestly. They're a great group of folks. They cast spells to help heal Natalie at her request, which you can see right here. Get everybody in there. 4 fat sluts in a fight? Yes. But you can see I was there with friend of the stream and roommate Opal, friend of the stream and roommate Austin, who I actually asked him to make sure this was okay. I've censored a face with his face, but with the top of his head stretched out, which is an emote on a server that a few of our friends have created. And we got the pizza. So Saturday was pretty good. Sunday. Dawn of the final day. It was pretty good pizza, honestly. Was it good pizza? Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like there's on a certain level, most like independent pizza places taste pretty much exactly the same, unless you go like way into the North End and you get into like the Italian places, really. Where like they got like, you know, like the brick oven firing and stuff like that. But like most of the time, like most independent pizza places will have more or less the same kind of pizza. Hello, Natalie. I see you emoting at me from the other side of the room. How are you? What makes a disc beautiful? An exploration of forgotten disc-based video games in the age of digital distribution, presented by Scorpion. But you can actually see like the whole title is the exploration of forgotten disc-based media in this wretched modern age of digital distribution. And there's the man himself. I'm gonna be real, I didn't realize this was Scorpy's panel when I added it to my personal schedule for the con. I love physical media. This sounded like something right up my alley. Did you see the Signalis physical OST because it's beautiful? I have not yet. I actually mentioned to Scorpy that I hadn't realized this was his panel when I saw him at the meetup, and he was so excited to hear that because that's what he wants. That's what he wanted when he submitted this panel. Because this panel goes off the fucking rails, let me tell you. But at its core, has a surprisingly genuine message beneath the inherent absurdity of the panel's presentation about what we lose when we move from physical media to digital downloads, especially with regards to what that means for actual game ownership. It was an absolutely hilarious panel. I was bequeathed a disc that just has listen closely written on it. I still haven't checked to see what's on it. Was told by Wayne after the panel that there might be nothing on it. Or it could be an illegal copy of a Dreamcast game. One or the other, really. I did get out of that panel kind of wanting to try to beat Scorpy's speedrun record for Planet 51 on the Xbox 360. So we'll see how much that brainworm takes root in my head. Now, it is up on his Twitch channel, which you can get to from that link. I mean, you can't click on that link. Like I said, I'll post all the proper links in like the VOD for this stream, as well as the highlight I'm going to make specifically of this presentation. But if you want to real quick type in that particular URL exactly as it's shown on screen, you too can check out the panel where you can see me and Natalie really easily. We're right in the front row. I believe Opal is there as well. I like when people put their fingers in the hole of a disc to make it look like the character on the disc has an ass. Whoa. So this was the day that we actually got to go into the floor. Now, on the floor, there was only one game I really wanted to try, and it was Neon Inferno. I had been seeing ads for this game all weekend. It looked sick as fuck. Just gorgeous pixel work, really fun kind of like arcade run and gun Wild Arms style gameplay. It comes to us from Retroware, who make modern retro games. Whatever the fuck that means. You're an assassin for the family. Your enemies are the Yakuza and the NYPD. Surprising no one, the game is sick as fuck. It's so cool. It was actually kind of funny. The people ahead of us in line for the demo left without beating the boss. So when me and Opal got up there to try it out with the co-op, we beat the boss for them and then played through the demo again. Because it's just like, I wanted to experience from the first. Yo, how was that one? It looks sick as hell. It's so good. The demo for this one is available on Steam right now. You can go download it. In fact, I would highly recommend doing so. It's so fucking cool. It is dripping with sauce. And now about that Landfest booth and the repo stream that you may have noticed I did over the weekend. You may have seen this. So, long story short, the charity Landfest has had a booth where streamers could sign up for a slot to stream from the expo hall. There was also a walk-up station for folks who wanted to try it out. I was given this information on Friday, I think, and decided to check out the walk-up station on Sunday. In part just because, like, hello, Venom Lad. PowerPoint? I thought I left you back in public school. Nope. But in part because, like, I knew I wanted to check out the Wayne Radio TV meetup on Saturday. So on Sunday, the walk-up station was closed because they didn't get any walk-ups. The Landfest folks basically just kind of kicked into overdrive, helped me get set up on a station no one was using that had repo, because they had to a horror game ready to go on it, and I felt really bad the whole time because of how unprepared I was for all of this. They had to get me like set up through their network. They have my contact information now, which is neat. I'd be interested to see if they reach out to me at all. And there were several times where just like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. And then like I couldn't log into Steam. I wasn't sure if they had already gotten my stream key on there or not. It was a whole thing. But they were such good sports about it, and I really appreciated that. Here is Natalie watching me play Repo at the Landfest booth. Everything at that station is way nicer than anything I have at home. That being said, listening back to that stream, I think maybe the Yeti X that I use is slightly better sound quality, but I don't know. I don't really have an ear for this sort of thing. Now, the stations that we were using normally feature Facecam. Now, I haven't done Facecam shit for years, and I mean, if you want to go looking for that stuff, you can. I won't stop you, but I don't want Facecam to be kind of like my sort of forward thing. They do have VTuber stations set up behind the curtains where people can stream more anonymously from the expo hall floor, but you need to sign up well in advance for that. And I assume all of your assets need to be loaded onto the computer. But overall, I felt it went pretty well. I am awful at solo repo. It definitely feels like the sort of game where I'm going to have a way better time playing with people who not necessarily know what they're doing, but that I can maybe trick into getting chased by monsters instead, so I can go ahead and grab all the loot. I will need to actually properly schedule one of these next time I have the same con as them, because I do want to do more of this. I thought it was a lot of fun. Part 3. Return. It's a long road home through the night. I am once again humbled by the enormity and beauty of nature. I feel as though better things are possible. If only we... Wait, hold the fuck up. What the fuck is that? So this is south of the border. What the hell am I looking at? Why is there a cartoonish Mexico theme park in South Carolina? Their mascot's name is Pedro? Their website is SOB Pedro? All of the employees are referred to as Pedro, regardless of actual name and ethnicity? Natalie described it as a racist Six Flags. The fuck do you mean none of the restaurants at the Mexico theme park have Mexican food? What the fuck? I'm losing my fucking mind. This is a real place. Like, it has a convention center? It can hold up to like 700 people? That tower is like a glass elevator that goes up to that huge-ass sombrero at the top. They have a Hats of the World exhibit? Or like a gift shop that sells hats of the world? I assume so that they can get away with selling sombreros and be like, we're not racist, we sell hats from all over the world. They do boast having the largest reptile exhibit in the continental United States, which, alright, sure. A bitch loves an alligator. I'm bitching this scenario. I bought a fucking tanker. Which, like, that's cool as hell. This was a really fun trip. I'm back from the cartoons to the bathroom to see 90s racism. Incorrect. 40s racism. It was a really good con. I bought a lot of stuff. If you're curious and you're asking yourself, hey Gage, how much did you buy at PAX East? How much did you spend? So just below the stream feed, there's a donation link. I'm not saying you have to give me anything, but help? No. I'm doing fine. Yeah, no, I did buy a fucking tankard. It was really cool. There was a craft soda company there called Wild Bill's, and basically if you bought one of their like souvenir cups, you got free refills on it all day, and if you wanted more free refills the rest of the weekend, you just had to pay $10. I unfortunately didn't make use of the free refills nearly as much as I wanted to, mostly because on Saturday the lines were way too long, and then just didn't really get around to it on Sunday with how much we were like kind of trying to run across the floor, and there were only 2 stations, but some of that shit was good as hell. I need to find out where I might be able to buy that, or if I can get that delivered, because it was delicious. But yes, that is my presentation. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me on this journey to Boston. Sorry, no can help at the moment. Recently bought my first adoptable art character. Sick! That's really cool. May I see it? So we've got, if you can believe it, we have a video game to play.